The name of the movie is Death Race. Jensen entered the prison and we see on his body full of tattoos. When he entered the cell, one of the people with him in the cell harassed him and another person winked at him. It seems that they will welcome him to prison in their own way. The prison guards hear a fight and chaos inside the cell. The guards go to the cell to see what happens. The guards notice that one of the prisoners is lying on the ground as if he is asleep. Jensen was looking at the prisoners in the cell without any fear. This prison is considered one of the most guarded prisons, and all the prisoners in it are dangerous criminals, and there is no one among them who has not committed a crime. On the second day, Jensen goes to eat lunch in the prison dining hall. Suddenly, a bald man approaches Jensen, and when he approaches him, the two people who were sitting with Jensen go as if they know that something is going to happen. This guy is spitting in Jensen's food and he was trying to provoke Jensen. But Jensen was calm and didn't want to get into trouble on his first day in prison. At the same time, another man comes towards Jensen. This man asks Jensen if he killed his wife and asks him if he killed her because of treason. Jensen was angry because of these words, and then he remembered the cause of the death of his wife, who was killed by unknown gunmen. And then suddenly the policeman came to him and arrested him because he was carrying the knife that his wife was killed with. Because of that, he went to jail. Jensen gets into a fight with this guy and starts a hit. Then the bald man comes and hits Jensen. A violent quarrel occurred between them. Then the prison guards came and surrounded the prisoners. The guard tells Jensen that he will get in trouble for hitting bald men. Then the guards take Jensen to the office of the warden, whose name is Lisa. The warden had other goals when she invited Jensen into the office. Jensen is actually a professional race car driver and was a professional auto racer. This prison used to organize a car race, and this race was allowed with violence. That is why it was called Death Race. This race was returning a lot of money to the prison through the live broadcast of this race. There was a professional masked driver and he can win all the races. He was able to win 4 consecutive races and was very popular. But he died before reaching the end of the race in his 5th race. Because the warden wanted to keep the viewership of the live broadcast, she tried to make Jensen wear the mask and pretend that he was the one who was racing. In order to persuade him to agree, she told him that she would get him out of prison if he won the race. Because Jensen wanted to get out of prison, in order to avenge his wife, who was killed, he agreed to do so. There were 3 people on Jensen's team who would help him in the race. One of them told Jensen the rules of the race and told him that the race is divided into 3 rounds, and that he must get rid of the largest number of his competitors in the first 2 rounds, and that he must reach the finish line while he is alive. In the 3rd round, speed will be the most important thing. In this scene, we see some people approaching Jensen and his team. One of those guys was called Cannon Face, and he didn't know that they had switched the masked contestant. Then this person decided not to talk to them much because he did not want to get into trouble with them, so he decided to take his friends and go away. Then we see the arrival of prisoners to the prison, and we see Jensen noticing the presence of things on the hands of these prisoners, and remembering that the person who killed his wife had such a thing in his hand. So Jensen made sure that the people who killed his wife had a relationship with these people who entered the prison. After that, female prisoners come to the prison. These female prisoners had come to the prison for a specific mission. One of the girls rode with Jensen in the car, and she was able to know that they had replaced the masked man because she told him that he looked more beautiful than the previous contestant. The prison warden was monitoring the situation from a distance, and she was bringing the prisoners to the prison in order to be guides in the race and also to help increase the views of the live broadcast. At the beginning of the race, there were 9 large armored cars ready to go. And when the starting whistle sounded, all the cars started at a great speed, and the sound of the tires rubbing on the ground filled the place, and the sound of the cars colliding with each other was also strong. It didn't take long for Jensen to take first place. The race was very violent between the contestants, and the result could change at any moment. The face of the cannonball slammed Jensen's car hard, and they both ran out of the way. Meanwhile, the warden of the prison changed all the rules of the race. She activated the sword and shield plan, and the sword represented a symbol on the trigger hole cover in the car, and the shield symbol was the one that protected the car. And when drivers press the sword button, a powerful weapon will come out and strike other cars randomly. And there was a button with the skull mark on it, and as soon as a car pressed it, a barrier would come out. As soon as a car hit it, it exploded. This made the race more competitive. Shooting was going on in the race, and there was a shield button that when pressed by cars, oil would come out of the ground, which makes it difficult to drive a car. Here we see one of the cars being shot at and taken out of the race. This was the second knockout in the race. The race was very strong, and the number of viewers of the live broadcast increased. Jensen, due to his driving skill, was able to save himself by removing a small shield from his car to protect his vehicle, and he was shot. Jensen asked the girl to sit on his leg so that he could pull the trigger on the side of the chair. Indeed, Jensen managed to drop some wine on the driver behind him. The girl turned on the lighter and threw it at the driver behind them, so this car caught fire. Meanwhile, a rider approaches Jensen and makes a gesture. Jensen was shocked because this person was making the same gesture as the person who killed his wife. Jensen made sure that the person who killed his wife was working in the prison and that everything was arranged by the warden. Before the end of the race, there were only 6 contestants who managed to survive. Jensen decided that everything had to change before the next race could begin. But the thing he did not expect was that the prison warden pressured him to complete the race, and he had no other choice. Jensen asks the girl who is with him about the reason for the malfunction of the weapon he used, and also asked her about who killed the masked man who was participating in the race before Jensen. It turns out to Jensen that this girl had signed an agreement from the start. If she destroys Jensen's weapon, she will be released, and she tells him that she is the one who destroyed his weapon yesterday in the race. And her goal was that Jensen not win the race so that they would not release him and he would remain in prison to continue participating in the race. Jensen decided to kill the contestant who tried to kill him yesterday. Jensen slammed on the brakes and drove his car at full speed, crashing into the contestant's car with all his might. They exchanged fire for a long time. But Jensen's weapon was so powerful that it made the contestant crash into a concrete barrier and his car overturned. The contestant opened the door of his car and got out. Jensen put on the mask and got out of the car, despite the warning of the girl with him not to get out of the car. Jensen killed this person. He was looking at the live broadcast cameras with such defiance that he convinced the prison warden that no one could compete with him. This prompted the warden to use the armored vehicle. This was the first thing the contestant called Cannon Face was working on. The Cannon's Face hit a partner and pushed him out of the car, because he knew the danger of the armored vehicle's presence in the racing arena. The armored vehicle's cannon was very powerful, firing 2,000 rounds per second, and one hit from it destroyed any car in seconds. The race has turned into a powerful war that no one will be able to survive. There were only 2 cars left in the race, which we were able to withstand, and these 2 cars are Jensen's car and the cannonball car. They managed to drive fast. They managed to block the road in front of the armored car. They were able to press the button on the skull and the pointed barrier appeared, so the armored vehicle collided with it, and parts of the armored vehicle were flying everywhere. This thing provoked the warden and made her angry. The prisoners were cheering loudly because this was the first time that a prisoner had challenged the warden. Jensen and Cannon Face formed a friendship. The warden decided that Jensen should die tomorrow, but the guard had a different opinion. So he tried to convince her that killing Jensen would reduce the views of the live broadcast of the race. but she told the guard not to worry and that she was in control of everything. The warden secretly sent a guard to place a bomb under Jensen's car. Here we see the two contestants, Jensen and Cannon, face. There is only one person among them who will survive the death race. The speed of the two cars reached 160 kilometers per hour. Jensen pressed the shield button, but all of his car's weapons had malfunctioned. It was the warden who was behind disabling Jensen's car. The other car was continuing to shoot at Jensen's car, which started to get damaged. Jensen asked the girl with him to remove the steel shield protecting the car, and she actually removed the steel shield. But the Cannon's face managed to dodge the steel shield. The Cannon's face decided to use his deadly weapon and hit with the rocket launcher, destroying all the walls of the prison, and smoke filled the place. The warden was not able to see what was going on in the race. The two contestants were able to escape from prison, and they were looking at each other and smiling with a smile indicating victory. This made the warden of the prison worry, and she closed the live broadcast and also stopped the weapons of all the cars. Then she pressed the button to detonate the bomb under Jensen's car. Fortunately, Jensen's team had already managed to remove the bomb from the car. The warden ordered the guards to try to catch the contestants who had escaped. The cannonball face distracted the guards, but the warden wanted to arrest Jensen so badly that she ordered them to kill him. The girl who is with Jensen decides to help him and she distracts the guards. Very quickly, Jensen jumped out of the car and tried to escape. And then we see the girl in the car come out wearing the mask. The warden receives a small gift, and after she opens the gift box, she finds the bomb she had placed under Jensen's car in front of her. The bomb exploded and the warden died. Then we see Jensen and the face of the Cannon as they open their own car garage. A car comes and stops in front of the garage, so the girl who was with Jensen in the race got out of the car. These three managed to survive and live their lives freely. And here the movie ends. Thank you for watching.